Geocachomaniacs.
GeoGearHeads.
Well, welcome to GeoGearHeads. If you're brand spanking new, you probably don't know what a podcast is. But if you're new to this podcast, welcome to GeoGearHeads. This is a weekly show where we talk about geocaching and geolocation games. I am Chris of the Northwest, along with our illustrious and somewhat illuminated host, Daryl W4.
Hey, I have a lot of lights on me.
Oh, okay. Well, you're somewhat illuminated.
Well, I'm
you're not luminescent.
Illuminated. I might be over illuminated.
Oh, well, I don't know what you've been doing this evening, but if you're, fully illuminated, that's a whole nother story.
Yeah, I am not lit though.
Okay.
All right. And that is Chris of the Northwest. Thanks for coming back again, Chris. And thank you to everyone watching or listening to us live or recorded. We do have a whole bunch of different topics that we're going to be talking about tonight. Almost all of them, probably all of them by the time we actually get done with the show, because it's, I think, going to be one of those comes from our audience. But before we get into that, Chris, we actually got an iTunes review this month.
What is iTunes?
I don't remember. Because Apple doesn't acknowledge iTunes anymore, right? It's now Apple Podcasts.
Or Apple Music, yeah. I went... I don't know. I did something this week and I had to go look at my iTunes login. Oh, I wanted to activate, or is that what the term is in iTunes, to activate a computer? Authorize.
Yes. Authorize. Yeah.
I already had 5 of them. Like, well, I'll just go and, go log into iTunes. You can't find iTunes anymore on the internet.
Ooh, interesting.
You can go log into your Apple ID. That's a different thing. Anyway.
Right.
So from an Apple podcast review, thus iTunes. Okay, we're old. It will always be iTunes to us. Hide Go Seek says, I never miss an episode of this enlightening. See, you're lit there, Daryl.
I guess so.
And entertaining podcast. As a team, Daryl and Chris complement each other well and keep the discussion moving. And Daryl, you're looking very good this evening.
See, I think Hide Go Seek is already wrong, because I think we make fun of each other more than we compliment each other.
Oh, a backhanded compliment kind of does both.
Well, I think what he's trying to do here is enjoy some sarcasm.
I love sarcasm. Hey, we should keep the discussion moving.
Yes, we should.
Hide Go Seek goes on to say they present timely podcast, or I'm sorry, I should learn to read. They present timely geocaching news and reviews, often via interviews with informative guests and sometimes other podcasters. I echo all the plaudits. Plaudits? I know about a pundit. I don't know about a plaudit. This is a new word to me.
When I read that the first time, I'm like, yeah, that's perfectly normal. And now I'm looking at it and it just looks wrong.
Okay. I should have read this ahead of time, shouldn't I? Because we're not keeping the discussion moving.
No, we're not.
Okay.
Sorry, Hide Go Seek.
I echo all the plaudits expressed in previous reviews and want to make note of the technical aspect of the show. It's always well produced and engineered, probably due to Daryl's expertise in all this stuff techie. I often listen while in the car and the sound quality is clear and consistent, something not all podcasts can boast. Kudos for that. Now, on to those puns. Hey.
Yeah.
I make puns.
Yes.
I don't know if they're good or not, but I make them.
Pundids, not pundins.
Yeah, pundids.
Sorry. had to go there. Yes, but we do engineer these shows to be plaudits. Well, no, pundits.
GSM times 2 in the show notes has it's PLAU.
Oh, yes.
BITS. So that's the pronunciation is praise. Yeah.
Right. But yes, we do engineer the show so that it's something that you can listen to as you're driving. And there's a whole lot of audio engineering stuff that goes into that. But basically, there's two different schools of audio compression. There's one for FM radio, which gives you that fuller range that you usually expect from like a music station.
The little deeper tones sometimes as well.
Well, yeah, just more dynamic range in the audio. And then there's the talk radio, which they usually call the AM radio, which doesn't exist in a lot of places anymore.
I still listen to AM just for sports, though.
Yeah, US does AM radio still, but parts of Europe, I think it is, have actually shut down AM radio, and they're using it for other things.
Other transmission frequencies, or with the same frequencies, but other
other services
and protocols. I would think cell towers would want that range.
I was just about to say, I think most of it is actually for cell phones, but I thought one of them was actually using it for some kind of Internet of Things network for their cities. So,
do you remember when citywide? You remember when citywide Wi-Fi was going to be a thing?
Yes, and I wish that would happen.
Why?
Not for the same reason.
Okay. It was terrible if it existed.
No. Yeah, no, it was bad, but for a different reason. I just want accessible internet for everyone.
Internet is not a right.
No. But it is a dividing issue. Service, whatever. We're not going to get into that, though. I do also want to say thank you for the iTunes review, in case we didn't do that already, and remind everyone that we are doing a lot more on YouTube. So the thumbs up and subscribes to the channel really help over there. We don't get to see who those are, but it's a good way for people to help find us. And
Daryl, we know who they are.
Yeah. Actually, I think we do get a message when someone subscribes, but we can't see the thumbs up or
you can just see that there are thumbs up. You can't see what the thumbs up are.
Right, but it's a growing medium for us. Not that quickly, but percentage-wise, it's still slowly overtaking the podcast. I shouldn't say that overtaking, but eating into the podcast.
There you go.
Let's move on to Dune Buggy, who emailed, since so many geocaches are also hidden in little libraries, I thought you might be interested in this article from NPR. So the article that he sent us was about Todd Bowl, the man who was credited with building the first little library, and he died on October 19th at the age of 62, unfortunately from pancreatic cancer. But the article actually has a quote that I wanted to read. 9 years ago, he used wood from his old garage door to build the first little library in his home at his home in Hudson, Wisconsin. Now there are tens of thousands of little libraries in 85 countries.
I love that.
So why is there not a cache at each one of those?
Well, not everybody knows what they're doing, but
no. Well, and like the one that's nearest to my office has a cache near enough that I can't put a cache in there, but I haven't been able to get a hold of I haven't even tried, but I'm not even sure who I need to talk to about that free little library and see if I could put a cache in. And, a lot of those have that, roof space that you can toss something into real easy. But some of them that I've run across are really, really cool, where they've taken like how to cache books and stuck a few extra sheets in there. You actually glued them in, and that's the logbook.
Nice.
Those are cool. And then you'll also find some of them where it's the book, the book safes.
A hollowed book.
Yeah. Which they just had one of those with a key lock on sale the other day, and I almost bought it because it was like $5.
Really?
They had the key. It was on Amazon.
Well, making a cache, you have to stop somewhere else and get the key.
Yeah, you could do that, or one of the travel bug key things. Oh, but hopefully no one puts the key into the cache. That would be bad.
Get a second key made first.
Well, yeah, or more. But
actually,
I wanted one of the combo ones, and that was still 17, I think.
Sorry, I have a little library on my watch list to go to. I hear it's one of the most incredible little libraries around.
So, is that one of the TARDIS ones?
No, this one I think is carved into a stump of a tree.
Ooh, wow, that's definitely a cool one to check out. But there is that website that supposedly keeps track of the little libraries. I've not had a whole lot of luck doing that, though.
Interesting. I didn't know about that.
It's like freelittlelibrary.net or something like that, or freelibrary.net.
Oh, yeah, that seems to ring a bell.
Yeah. But I gather that when you actually register and get one of those plaques, that's when it's supposed to go on that website. However, I've seen many of those plaques and no reference to the library on there. So I don't think that's actually working the way that we think it works. I think once you have one of those plaques, you can register the library, but you need to have the location. And a couple of them that I did find were nowhere near the pin on the map.
Oh, interesting.
You know, it's like houses away. So it's probably someone put in the address and it geocoded it badly.
It's close enough. Like, off we go.
Kind of like the way Amazon Logistics has been delivering my packages lately. 4 streets over, that's close enough.
They learned that from the Paperboy.
Right. All right, so Bloody Cool emailed. I just listened to the episode on Geo Tours and Geo Trails. I'm a little bit behind due to international travel, and I had a couple of comments on what was said about going caching. It was mentioned that you get a coin that is integral in solving of various puzzles at going caching, but it was not mentioned that you also earn a traditional geocoin as well for finding a certain set of geocaches. Tour locations such as the bookstore, jewelry store, etc. were mentioned, but the best business, Coliseum Escape Rooms, was not mentioned. That business is new since Going Caching 2017, and they hosted one of the NFC opened boxes, a music box in this case. They also have fantastic escape rooms. Another group of cachers set a new speed record on their harder escape room that weekend. Well, congratulations, cachers, on doing the new record. But going caching is just such an amazing event. Yeah, I kind of want to do a wrap-up kind of show with them at some point, but I'm not sure how much value that's going to have. But like these NFC things, I'd like to get the team on to talk about how they built those and how they made that happen. You know, just so that anyone else can get some inspiration from it.
Oh, inspiration. Another email we got. We're ripping right through these, Daryl.
We are. We're actually doing really well, which is surprising.
I know. Well, we're keeping things on track. This one comes from JR and Juju. Sent an email. I don't know if this has come up, but an interesting site for POIs that's point of interest is POI-factory.com. One file that might pique your northern cacher's interest is Tim Hortons restaurants in the US and Canada. 4,900 locations, including Nevada and West Virginia. Ooh, that's a lot of donuts. Do you have Tim Hortons near you?
I do, and I think it's been about 2 years since I've last visited Tim Hortons because the ones near me aren't very good.
Oh, how can that be? Tim,
but I always try to go to Timmy's when I'm in Canada.
Yeah, well, you have to. I mean, you're
they
not
won't let me
allowed
back into the.
Right. Did you?
Right. They won't let me back to the U.S.
Did you bring back 50 Timbits with you?
Well, you can't bring them back. You have to consume them, before you get back.
That's a lot of Timbits to consume. Let me tell you.
Yes, it is. But I swear, I don't know entirely what's going on. I know it's 2 different food systems for the delivery and everything. But the Tim Hortons in Canada tastes totally different than the Tim Hortons over here. Like,
is that like
no comparison.
It uses real sugar as opposed to
It may be, but you also get the like 16 ounce is like the small Tim Hortons here, and over there I want to say it's like 10 ounces.
well, they wouldn't
So,
use ounces.
I think they actually do.
That's too
But
imperial.
I don't remember. Yeah. But yeah, in any case, there are several differences in the Timmies between the two, and I definitely like the Canadian ones.
Well, I've
like
been
the
to a
US
couple
ones so
of
much.
Canadian ones, and I've been to one in Columbus, Ohio. So that was my only US Timmy's experience, and it was fine.
There, White Coaster says there are 9 Krispy Kremes in Canada, and he's surprised that there are still that many.
We've got a Krispy Kreme here in the area, and it's fine.
Yeah, there's a Krispy Kreme near me that I like to go to and watch the machine.
Oh,
I'll skip the donuts, but I love watching that machine.
Yeah. When it first opened, there was lines all the way around the block and yada yada.
Uh-huh.
I came by and I go, well, it doesn't look too bad. Let's go. And no, it was still a lot of line inside, but you got to, stand by the machine and watch it. And that was as much fun as the donuts.
Oh yeah. And less fattening.
Yeah.
I've live streamed that donut machine from the local one a couple of times.
You need a suction cup mount to put to the window, and then you could just live stream it all day.
Sure, but it's what else are you going to do on International Donut Day?
Ooh,
you got to live stream donuts, right?
Yeah. So soon after our cream open, the whole low carb thing came out, and they tanked. They had trouble, so they brought in ice cream and all sorts of different things.
Ooh.
To boost sales.
But and I take it didn't work so well.
Well, I don't know. It's still open, but
well, that's good. Yeah, Tim, that Krispy Kreme went through a whole thing of, they expanded too rapidly, and then we had the economic issues, and they started shrinking again. So I'm glad to see they're still around, but there are many fewer stores than there had been at one point.
Yeah, well, we still have ours, so that's all that really matters in the scheme of things.
Yep.
Okay, we got another email, and I'm warned not even to try to say the name in the show, but I'm so much of a rebel. I'm going to try. This one comes from a Russian listener. Can you believe this? I'm going to try to pronounce the name as Kuzmin. I started earlier and I knew I would mess it up, Daryl.
Yes, yeah, you were getting so good at least pronouncing it the way you were trying to pronounce it.
Kuzmenchinlev. I've got a question for your next Randomize show. Has someone ever had the idea to host some sort of geocaching world championship? It would be cool if the top geocachers gathered in a place and found a series of 5 caches. The person with the most finds after a week would receive the title of world champion. What would be the problems of hosting such an event? Is such an event legally possible if not hosted by Geocaching HQ? Or would it be better to do this with teams, i.e. North America versus Europe, men versus women, etc.?
Well, yeah, this one is intriguing because there have been several of the competitions.
Right.
Including, I know of them in North America. Canada's had them. US has had them.
That type of thing.
Well, no, like Moga.
Sorry, Moga is what I was thinking. Yes.
Yeah. Moga, there's been, I want to say it was, no, I don't think it was, but it was like Prince Edward Island Cachers Association or something like that. Had events like that. There's Cache Across Maine that does challenges like that. But the ones like Cache Across Maryland, not Maine, sorry. But Texas. The ones that are doing, I'm sorry.
GSM times 2 says Texas Challenge.
Texas Challenge is another one, but like the Texas Challenge and the Moga, those are events, usually megas. Though Moga is not a mega this year, it's a series of events. But the caches across Maryland and the one that I was thinking of in Canada is not an event, though it has an event associated with it, but it is something more like what he was suggesting with the week-long challenge.
Okay.
What I was thinking would be cool is a series of mega events, and you would have to work with Geocaching HQ on this as well, but do a series of mega events, like one on each continent kind of thing. Certainly not one in Antarctica because, well, it wouldn't reach mega status.
That's all it takes. So it's like
you don't have
the World Geocaching Championship Series.
Correct. So you have like, the continental ones that are like the mega events, and maybe each state or each province or whatever has to, each region, whatever that would be, has to go and send one team to represent it. So you would have mega events,
continental or regional semifinals.
Correct. And then you go to the finals, which would be hosted like at Geocaching HQ or something. I mean, that would be a lot of fun. But it's so much incredibly hard planning to pull something like that off.
Oh, how hard can it be? How hard can it be?
And it's going to take a serious amount of cash.
Like building your own electric car. How hard can it be?
I'm getting flashbacks to the
Top Gear.
Oh, yes, Top Gear. But what was the name of that car?
The Eagle? Eagle?
The Eagle. Yeah, the Eagle Thrust ×2 or something like that. That's not it, but now I'm going to be bothered by that. Thank you.
Wet Coaster, I no longer like you. I'm going to unfriend you on every social media. This is now I'm volunteering to be the organizer.
Yeah, I would love to see something like that happen, but I think that kind of activity, you would have to have corporate sponsorship more than just like Geocaching HQ, but someone at Geocaching HQ to pull it off.
You need something like an energy drink company, because they produced a better space organization than our government space organization. They have better racing programs, and
yeah, exactly. You know
which one I'm saying.
Yeah, I could see something like that actually happening, but if they were to get involved, I don't think it would necessarily be a Geocaching HQ to get involved too. However, I think it would be a lot of fun. I don't think you're ever going to see something on that kind of scale. Maybe you'd see something on a continental scale at most. But most likely you're just going to end up with these organizations that put together the challenges, whether it's an event or a series of events. But to do something like a world champion, you're going to have to do just a weekend event. It's going to be very, very short to allow people to take the time off to do it.
Well, that's
okay. So I talked a lot about that one.
I mean, I love the idea, but yeah, the logistics is a little difficult.
Have you ever tried doing one of these competition styles?
No. The most, is the competitions of the Geo Coin or the Geo Tour in a day. Who's going to get back first?
Yeah, I've done some of the poker runs. I've done some of the road rally style geocache things. And then there's always the here's the event caches. Go out and find as many of them as you can.
Right.
Some of the games. There was one of the local cachers who did an amazing event every winter, and it was like the Winter Games event. Okay. Not really geocaching related, but sledding down the hill on like a log book or something was one of the events.
Well, there have been Geolympics. Summer games, winter games up here in it was in the Vancouver. Put on by our one and only Dora Moore, and those were a lot of fun. They were very well attended, but it was a lot of work.
Oh, absolutely. And they've had them in Europe. I think the UK has had one or two, but around some of the mega events they've popped up. And I know Germany has done some games at the mega events. So there's aspects of this everywhere, but I don't think anyone has ever gone so far as to do a geocaching world championship. Something interesting might be to do the Geo Woodstock World Championship, or something like that. The Geo Coinfest World Championship. So have an event that moves around, do their own championship, and whichever cacher wins or team of cachers wins, their state or country or whatever region becomes the winner for that next year.
Interesting. Yeah.
And that way you're tying it to an event that's already planned, already mega or giga, and gets the draw.
Right. So it's already there. The event's already happening. You're just adding an extra element.
Correct. Because there's a lot of people that aren't going to be interested in participating.
What?
And a lot of people are going to want to watch. And a lot of people just really don't care enough to make the trip, but are going to be interested in doing something.
Right.
If it's there for them.
If it's there, they will find it.
Yeah. So.
And they will find it.
I definitely think there's some good ideas out there. It's just really, really tough to put something like that together. Mm-hmm. And Moga is probably the best one that I can think of that's similar to this. But they're scaling back because it just got, they had internal issues and everything, but it really just seems to have gotten too big to manage on an annual basis.
I thought it was too big to fail.
Yeah, no, definitely not. But it's a lot of work to put something like that together and to keep it running. And with all volunteers, it's just tough.
Mm-hmm. That's the key. So if you can get some corporate sponsorships, then you can have professional event coordinators to put it all together.
Yeah, there you go. Put together a nice little team and they can run it and take care of all the planning. And you still need the volunteers to pull it off, but at least the management, the organization is handled by people who are full-time and can dedicate their effort to it. Which would be nice for something like the podcast too, so that I don't have to worry about working 11-hour days and coming back to try to remember what I was doing and not getting easily distracted by comments like R. Reagan, who says he's back from a 4,700. See, I'm already screwing that up. 4,700 mile road trip, and he's ready for some randomize. Well,
nice. I think he did 4,700 miles just in the country of Scotland.
Wow.
Nice. It was a one concentric circle.
That's one heck of a road trip if he went to Scotland and back.
Yeah.
By car. Yeah. I'm hoping he had like a ship or something that he was on when he hit the ocean. Otherwise, it would get really wet really quick.
New England to Florida. You weren't part of that, Reagan. You weren't part of that 25 states in 25 hours?
I think it was 20 states in 25 hours.
Yeah, that's it.
Which is something else that we want to talk about, but I've got feelers out to people involved, and I haven't heard anything back yet.
Okay.
But that does sound like an awesome one. Ooh, he said 500 plus caches in 8 new states and 10 CAAs. I'm not sure what the CAA is.
Cache across
America.
America? Okay.
Yeah.
Or he hit 10 crows and they all went, "Caw!"
Maybe we need to get R. Reagan on to talk about that one too. And, planning for that, which
agreed. That's exactly
I'm guessing he might have used Cache Turno.
Cache Turno, the Italian routing program. I use the Cache Turno.
Not Italian. Anyway, let's move on to Coon and Bud, who has something related. And he says, do you attend a regular annual event in your area? I'm talking about a non-mega event. How does the host make it fresh every year? And most reoccurring events are not are at the same site, and returning attendees have cashed out the area. I'll let you take this one away first, and then I'll pitch in with a couple of mine.
We have several GeoCoin challenges. They're not officially Geo Tours anymore, but each year they put out a series. It could be 25, 30, 40 caches. So each year there's a different theme. Now, these aren't necessarily mega. There are a couple that are reoccurring megas, like our Tri-Cities GeoCoin Challenge every year. That's a reoccurring mega event. But there are other regional GeoCoin challenges that are not routinely mega or not mega. We have folks here in the area that are putting on an event every month. That's their thing. You know, they do an event a month, and they've been doing it for a couple of years. So they pick a day like National Sandwich Day, and we meet at a sandwich shop or whatever the theme is they can come up with for that month, because, you know, there are like 6 or 7 things, national something days every day of the year.
Oh, absolutely. We have a Taco Tuesday event that tries to do the same thing, and that's fun. But, you know, it's a little bit of a theming that makes it entertaining. But to be honest, most of the people who go to the Taco Tuesday don't even notice
that it's Tuesday,
right?
Or they're eating tacos.
I don't think most of them even eat tacos, to be honest. But the interesting thing that a lot of our people do for these events is place a new cache, giving the cache code out to the people to find before it gets published.
Oh, interesting.
There's 2 annual events that I want to mention. One is always on New Year's Day here. If you're anywhere near the area, it's worth checking it out, though it can be brutal, cold, and nasty. It's a great way to spend New Year's Day. Last year, I think there were 400 caches published.
Wow.
And it's anyone in the area is invited to submit caches. There's this very loose set of guidelines. You have to name it in such a way. It's, you know, Happy New Year, HNY. And then the year, but you just then send the information to the hosts. They put together the GPX file that, you know, people can get, and I think they even print it up, but they might have stopped doing that at this point. But it's just a breakfast event. You get together, you have some fun, and then here's all these caches. Go and find them everywhere around. And we're talking probably 50 miles radius that you're getting caches published in this thing. So it's not like there's this huge, dense number of caches that gets published, but you will have trails. You'll have individual caches. Sometimes there's like really cool puzzles. People this year did... oh, no, that was for a different one. I was going to say they did the AR caches, but that was later for a different event that's similar.
The pirate caches? Arr.
No. Oh. No, not pirate caches. But then there's also the Belle Isle event, where a group of cachers gets together, archives all the caches that were on the island, and puts out all new caches. And this is an island that's a recreation facility. Think of it kind of like Central Park, but bigger, and it's an island. So caches all over the place. And like Central Park, it was originally done by Olmsted.
Oh, interesting.
There's something for you. But, you know, there's new caches every year. You get the GPX file, you can go find them. So we have a lot of those. But there's also
did some Olmsteading out here in Washington.
Ha 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 ha.
It was a pun. Come on, you guys love my puns. Sorry. Go on.
So the January 1st event is just a Happy New Year, I think, every year. Gia sometimes too is asking. I'll have to look that up, but I think it's just Happy New Year. It's not a mega event. I don't think it's likely to be one because we've had other areas kind of adopt the concept and do their own sets of caches and events. And we've seen some of the people that would drive, and some would stay overnight, some just do it as a really long day trip. They've stopped coming up because they now have one local that they're doing.
Okay. And seriously, 400 caches?
I think it was 400 caches. You know what? I think I can even look it up.
There's a word I'm thinking of. It's called bonkers.
Yes, they are. Well, while I'm looking that up,
I'm happy with the GeoCoin tour or GeoCoin challenge with 40 to 50 caches. You can get that done in a day. If you're dedicated, go make it a long day, and then drive back home and with your new coin and go, I've done something. But 400 caches, that's enough to keep you cashing all year round.
Well, and they're not close enough that you could actually go and do them on your own.
What do you mean do them on your own? Because I do caching on my own.
No. Do like all of them on your own during that day.
Right. So you break up into teams and everybody goes and gets 50 and then you claim them all.
All right. I do not have the 2018 or even 2017 versions, but the 2016 version had 235 plus the event.
Wow. Still impressive.
Yes, it is. And it's a lot of fun even doing the thing that I can't think of, the like breakfast event.
The good old whatchamacallit thing?
Yeah, exactly. Just even doing the breakfast event is a lot of fun. But when you get all those caches involved, and that takes a ton of work, but it's a lot of fun to you just load it up. I usually put it into its own group on Cachely. Earlier I did it in Geosphere, but load it up on Cachely, take it out to pan out and start looking for, okay, where's a nice little cluster. But it has been so bloody cold the last couple times I've done it that we didn't want to do much more than park and grabs. And
well, I think
always end up in spots that we're not the only ones, but it's not a whole lot of people. And right. We've given up on some of these in far too little time because we just got too cold.
I think Wet Coaster has you beat here. In Edmonton, Alberta, which from what I understand of Canadians, nobody actually wants to go to Edmonton. You're sent to Edmonton. You don't want to go there. They have a weekend in March called CARW. I don't know if it's Carwa, Cache and Release Winter. The year I was there, it started out at minus 30 Celsius, warmed up to minus 25, and there were 110 new caches published.
Awesome. Yeah, that's another one of those options there. So I think going back to the actual question that Kuhn Bud had asked, is there's really two different ways that people seem to be keeping the events fresh. One is theming, and two is release new caches.
Right.
And especially for those mega events like Midwest Geo Bash, they clear out all the caches on the grounds of the event and replace new ones. And that takes, this year, I think it took me about 4 hours to get them, give or take. So they really do need something off-site as well to keep it fresh. Right. But they don't necessarily want to do that because then everyone goes out caching instead of staying on site and taking part in the activities there. Yeah, it's a give and take, but yeah, you definitely need new caches, and the new caches will attract people to come to the event that might not otherwise go.
And really, that's the drawing point, is you're out caching with your friends. The event is secondary, actually. It's the time you spend out with your friends, whether it be new caches or, even just going out to cache the area that's different than what your normal stomping grounds are.
Well, and there are always people at these mega events that I don't get to run into most of the time.
Mm.
So it's really about going caching with these friends that I only get to see once every year, maybe 2 or 3 years. So I really love doing the caching at those events because it's just fun and, you know, it's a good bonding experience.
Exactly.
All right, we're getting a little bit long on this episode, but we do have some news. Why don't you do that one real quick, Chris?
Well, you've linked an article from GPS World, because what would it be a randomized show without an article about GPS satellites? The Galileo constellation grows by 4 satellites. So 4 satellites were sent up. Basically, the GSA T0215, 216. There's a typo, 217 and 218. Each satellite, in case you want to know, weighs about 715 kilograms, measures 2.7 by 1.2 by 1.1 meters with deployed solar array panel of 14.67 meters, onboard power of 119 watts. No, 1,900 watts.
Well, the important thing here is the Galileo system has more satellites and is getting closer to that full coverage and full operation. Yeah. Although I think technically they're in full operation, just not full coverage.
So that's really cool. News. They expect these satellites to last more than 12 years.
I would hope so. 12 years seems awful short for GPS satellites, because I thought we were getting more like 20 out of the GPS system with satellites. Well,
I mean, that's a lot of money and a lot of effort to launch something that's only going to be 12 years up there.
However, this is the first revision, essentially, of these satellites. They might have planned for a shorter life cycle on these so that they could get a second generation up and out that's longer service life eventually. And this is new because this is actually supposed to be 2-way. That's what's interesting about the Galileo system. Yeah, because the Galileo system supports the 2-way communication for things like aircraft.
Right. And they're the only ones mentioned in Bohemian Rhapsody. It's the only satellite system mentioned.
Yes. Yes. Queen was a very progressive group that had so much insight into the future.
Without a doubt.
And we are going to have another show at which they probably could have predicted, but just for the patrons. So patrons, if you're watching live, go over to Patreon, check the link for the live show. If you're listening to it, you'll have that over on Patreon in the recorded version as well. But we have to announce the winners for the trackables, because you know what? It's a randomized show and we're giving away some trackables. So anyone who's mentioned must email us by November 30th to claim them. So the first one is going to be our Russian friend that I can't pronounce, so I'm going to try it anyway. Kuzminchlev. Boy, I did a lot worse than you did with that.
Kuzminchlev.
Okay. But they're going to get a GeoGearHeads tag because, you know, I figure we got to send one to Russia, right? And then the other 2 that we're going to have today are getting the gift tag. And remember, this is gift weekend. So Bloody Cool and Dune Buggy, make sure to email us at geogearheads@cachemaniacs.com by November 30th to claim those prizes. And you have to send us your mailing address so that we can get them in the mail.
Otherwise, we're just going to email you a picture of what you could have won.
No, I'm going to go and set them free. How's that? Unclaimed prizes will be set free.
They will return to you. They were really meant to.
They'll come back.
Yeah. I forgot how that went. Anyway. Hey, next week, November 15th, we are talking about, are you ready for this? GPSR versus smartphone number 2. Ooh, with our buddy Limax. December 6th, we're doing Trackables with Annie Love is back for another early edition, so that'll be a recording. So, December 13th, we are talking 3D printing, number 7. We've done a lot of 3D printing shows with C. Nelson and Antaeus.
Check the Cachemaniacs website for more on the GeoGearHeads, including show notes for this and all of our episodes. We love hearing from our listeners, so leave us feedback by emailing geogearheads@cachemaniacs.com or through social media. Your support helps keep the Cachemaniac shows coming. Please consider becoming a patron through the link on the website to support the Cachemaniac shows. GeoGearHeads is produced by Chris Offenauer and Daryl Wanberg. This show is copyright 2018 by Daryl Wanberg. All rights reserved.
Cash with the Cachemaniacs.